Wow. Former President Biden reminding the nation that the road to a deal that freed the last 20 living hostages began long before President Trump took office, posting on X, quoting here, "The road to this deal was not easy. My administration worked relentlessly to bring hostages home, get relief to Palestinian civilians, and end the war. I commend President Trump for his team for their work to get a renewed ceasefire deal over the finish line." Let's bring in Mark Thiessen, Fox News contributor, and Michael LaRosa, former special assistant to President Biden and advisor to the First Lady. Mark Thiessen, to you first. I want to put this up. This is the a National Review. Jim Garrity writes this, put this up on the screen. Joe Biden was president for 1 year, 3 months and 13 days of the crisis. He and his team had plenty of opportunities to attempt to negotiate a deal like this one. They could not get the parties to yes. Maybe it's because the president was a doddering old man and couldn't focus, or maybe it's because no one in the Middle East really feared crossing the Biden administration. I mean, we look back on this. Last night we talked about it, Mark, and all we ever heard Joe Biden tell the parties is don't. Again and again, he said, don't. And that was all he had to say about this. And now he's taking credit. What do you think about this?
He said don't, and they did. I mean, that was the summary of the Biden policy. Look, the reason why Trump was able to achieve this is because he reversed all of Biden's policies when it came to Israel and the Middle East. So Biden's policy was slow roll, restrain, and appease. Slow roll weapons to Israel, restrain Israel from going after Hamas, and appease Iran. Mm-hmm. Trump's policy was the opposite. It was to arm Israel, it was to unleash the IDF, and it was to obliterate the Iranian nuclear program. Biden held back 2,000-pound bombs and slow rolled other weapons that Israel was asking for. He tried to get Israel to not carry out the assault on Rafah that killed Yahya Sinwar and took out the top leader of Hamas. He tried to bring Iran back into the Obama nuclear program, and their cash reserves tripled on his watch. And Trump came in and reversed all of that. He gave them the 2,000-pound bombs. He gave a green light to Netanyahu to go after Hamas, and he obliterated the Iranian nuclear program, which is what gave Netanyahu the confidence to go ahead with this deal. Everything he did was the opposite of what Joe Biden did, and that's why he succeeded where Biden miserably failed.
Yeah, I mean, Michael, it's a fair assessment because we went back and looked at all this thing, and it was Joe Biden coming at this more from the squad's perspective than Trump's perspective. What do you think?
Well, I don't disagree with a lot of what Mark said, and I also don't disagree that Biden fell victim to this internal tension that my Democratic Party suddenly has become sort of reflexively responsive to the most leftist wing, most progressive and left-wing element to our party, because that's not the Joe Biden of his entire career. He was basically, his father taught him at a young age about the Holocaust. He was a Zionist ideologically and personally, and committed to Israel his entire career. I mean, this is a guy who was negotiating with the Russians when he was in his 30s and has known Bibi since before I was even alive. So they had the opportunity. Mark is correct, but what Mark leaves out is that 80% of this deal does start with the framework that the Biden team did try to get in place for their ceasefire. 80% is of the same DNA. Now, he's right. Trump moves faster. Biden took a very cautious approach.
Here's
and that's
the thing.
Where he came to the progressives.
Here's the most telling part of this. Former hostage, this is back in February, he was released. It is Omer Shev-Tov. And he's talking about the fact that he was treated poorly by Hamas. And then when Donald Trump was elected, watch.
They were very scared of him. Yeah, they wanted
who?
Terrorists.
We're afraid of Trump.
Yeah, they wanted Kamala to be chosen, to be elected.
You talked politics with them?
Yeah. They wanted Kamala to be elected. When Trump became president, the way they treated us changed. More food, treated me better.
I mean, you talk about speaking volumes, Mark Thiessen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, why was Hamas afraid of Donald Trump? Because their patron was a guy named Qasem Soleimani, and Trump whacked him. He killed Qasem Soleimani and took him off the face of the earth. And then he told the Iranians that if you retaliate against us, I'm going to kill the Ayatollah Khamenei. So the Ayatollah was afraid of him. Hamas is afraid of him. And look, it was because of Trump's policies that Hamas is now going to lay down their arms. And by the way, he said this today: if they don't lay down their arms, if they don't disarm, he's going to disarm them. Can you imagine Joe Biden saying that and people not laughing?
Michael, I got 15 seconds for you.
I don't disagree with you guys. I think that unfortunately our White House came off, the perception at least, was that we were very weak when it came to Putin, when it came to Israel, crime, immigration. We have a perception problem, and Democrats still haven't learned that it's better to be strong and wrong versus weak and right.
Michael, Mark, thank you both.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.